Post, New Canaan Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
A little past 2 o'clock on a Monday here on HANradio.com and streaming live on the Hersam Acorn Network. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports, everyone. I'm Rob Adams. Alex Hager's going to sit in for the next hour. AJ Simonowski across the way directing and the whole thing. We've got a lot to do at 203-442-9055 today. We're going to speak with Tim Murphy, sports editor in both Wilton and Ridgefield, as well as Christopher Kalin will come along right around 2:30 this afternoon. But Alex, first of all, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you as well, Rob.
As we jump into the show, first and foremost, congratulations. Well, belated happy birthday. I didn't get a chance to wish you so on the air, but I know you had a big Friday night with the prom and all, and everything good?
Fun. Oh, yeah. No, it's been a successful week.
Good. Very good. Now, as you dive into June, you still have a ways to go before graduation.
Honestly, it's only a little bit over 2 weeks at this point.
Oh.
It's scarily
still a couple of weeks.
creeping
but
up
yes,
pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Scarily getting closer. And, obviously with you at the prom on Friday night, you weren't obviously aware of what was going on in the baseball game with the Blue Wave not taking part. There was really no need for you to.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I did check Twitter a few times, and I had a lot of friends up at the ballpark at Harbor Yard, so I was trying to stay tuned as much as I could.
I admire that. Certainly a great game, and we're going to get to play the highlights for you in a little bit, including all the interviews that we did post-game down on the field with Tim Egan, Jackson Ward, and JT Moore, and the most valuable player. So we will get to that in a little bit as well. So there's a bunch of things going on here today, and certainly all the postponements that have taken place. Our game has been postponed. The game we were going to do, your game is postponed as well. Darien not going to play today. New Canaan, Stratford also postponed today. Basically, everybody is shut down.
Yeah, I mean, it's been raining all day. There's really no reason to have baseball.
And I have no faith in tomorrow either.
I don't either. Looking at the forecast, I mean, teams with turf fields like Darien may be able to squeeze it in, but you're not going to get across-the-board games tomorrow.
Yeah, and folks, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I heard a flash flood watch in effect through sometime tomorrow night. Now, that can always get back down, but as of right now, that doesn't bode very well for tomorrow either. So I think the CIAC's got a situation on their hands.
Yeah, and I know the players don't want these games to be pushed back because they're all just a lot of the teams who lost in early rounds of their county tournaments are just itching to get back out on the field in baseball and softball. And I think that this wait that's going to be a little longer is going to, not only kind of increase the anticipation, but also hurt the kids a little bit because they might fall out of shape, especially when you might not even be able to practice on a day like today.
No, that's exactly right. But we do have Tim Murphy on the line, so let's bring him on. He can address some of this and a lot more. He is the sports editor in Wilton, as I said, as well as Ridgefield. But Murph, you're the sports editor of the town with the FCAC baseball champions. Murph, you hear us? All right, Murph is currently not hearing us for some reason. Let's see if we can figure out why. And as soon as we've got that figured out, we'll explain what's going on there. I can hear him. He can't seem to hear us, apparently.
We can hear him for sure.
Yeah. Murph, take two. All right, something going on there, and we'll try to figure out exactly what it is. All right. So anyway, 203-442-9055 is the phone number as we join you here at 204. But certainly a significant game Friday night, and, I saw people such as Scott Erickson, and Scott's not one for hyperbole. He called it one of the best games, one of the best FCAC games, I think, if I'm remembering his quote somewhat correctly, and I read so many things Friday night. He described it as one of the better games he's ever seen.
And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, from what I heard about that game, it was really a spectacle to be seen. And when you're playing a game up at Harbor Yard and definitely the stakes are raised a little bit, and both of these teams had gone through so much throughout not only the regular season but throughout the FCAC tournament. They both knocked off higher seeds, and they both made their way to this game, and there had been so much anticipation building that they really were definitely qualified to put on a show.
You got great pitching from JT Morin. You just got, everything went right in that game. Defensively, I mean, Staples, it's not like Staples lost the game.
No.
Wilton won it.
Absolutely, and I think they deserved to as well. And especially in the beginning of the game, people were just sort of waiting, like, when's JT Morin going to stop being amazing? After the last game he pitched in, I mean, he put on such a great show that people were thinking, is he going to be able to do that again? That seemed like almost an anomaly. And he just started this game and just kept going, and he threw a complete game even with one extra inning in the books. And, he had 2 back-to-back amazing performances.
Yeah, Marco Latella was just so good on the other side. While I try to figure out what's going on with the phones, I'm going to queue up the video from Friday night's highlights. So AJ and I are good and ready and in sync. And AJ, we'll get it going here with the highlights of the FCAC Championship in baseball. It's coming up right now. Two out. Top of the first. As Latella brings it home, and it's lined to right. Coming on is Sean Clark. He slides, dives, got it, and the inning is over. Now the 2-2 with 1 out. Fastball that's lined, lifted to right center, and into the outstretched glove and out of Cusa, who made a wonderful attempt. So it's a 1-out hit for Sabo. The quarterfinals back on Tuesday. Runner goes, pitch, swung and a miss, throw down the second. It's in time. There's the tag. Got him.
An absolute laser to second base. He was out by a mile. Great throw.
And the inning comes to an end on that note. No score. Runner goes. Here it comes. Breaking ball missed inside. Throw to second, not in time. A stolen base for Cusa. Top of the fourth, no score. Fastball lifted to left and deep and trouble. Back to play at Azadian. Panzer makes the call in left center. He puts it away, 2 out.
Another bit of a dangerous play out in that left field area. Azadian's been involved in both those incidents. But,
Then tweeted at Hersam Radio. Pitch coming is lifted to center and trouble. And a diving play and a catch! Phenomenal catch in left. You just saw a play by Zach Azadian and a standing ovation from the ballpark at Harbor Yard.
Sorry if we killed your eardrums, everyone listening at home. We could not help ourselves because that was a Sports Center top 10 highlight play right there by Zach Azadian. Full extension to his left. Gave everything to catch that ball. Wow, that is easily the best catch we've seen this year.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.
I asked it earlier, who's going to blink first? Bottom of the 5th at the ballpark at Harbor Yard. And by the way, guess who leads off?
Oh, isn't that always the way? The guy that makes the play in the field leads off the next inning. But that was, if I may say so, Rob, an extraordinary catch.
It was here it comes. On the outside corner. Strikeout number 6. 2 away.
Clearly was looking for off speed. Instead, got the fastball straight red on the outside corner.
He was looking local, got the express. And we'll get a visit to the mound in a moment. And a big conversation, the entire infield coming in, and a lot of taps on the back, and JT Morin being talked to right now. Takes off his cap, now pulls his glove off. You can tell this is almost one of those look me in the eye, tell me what you think, but it's also a little more time for Ward. Now the coach looks toward home plate, looks at the umpire. There's a lot of things going on in this conversation, and Morin's going to stay in. You had the feeling, it always calls to mind Joe Torre, Game 3, 1996 World Series, gets right in David Cohn's face and says, what do you have left? Don't tell me anything other than yes or no, basically. Brings it. A called strike, 1-2. He's struck out 20, by the way, since Tuesday. I mean, just ponder that ridiculousness for a moment. The 1-2 pitch. High and outside fastball, 2-2. It's just, it's, I can't comprehend it, I'm sorry. The 2-2 pitch coming with 2 out in the 5th. Swinging and missing, and down he goes. 7 strikeouts for JT Morin. An absolutely brilliant performance once again, and he strands a runner after 1 hit, the leadoff hit by Azadian. 1 ball, 2 strikes. This is lined, and a diving catch at second. Colin Cahall makes the snag. 2 out.
I mean, what does this... this game has, if you like pitching and defense, this game has everything.
The 2-1. Lifted to center, a line drive coming over, sliding catch made in center by Shovlin, and the inning comes to an end.
What a game, Rob.
Nothing across. What a game indeed. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left. A 2-hitter through 6 from Morin. We head to the top of the 7th. To the 7th inning we go. No runs on 4 hits. No errors for the Wilton Warriors. For the Staples Wreckers, no runs on 2 hits. They've committed 1 error. 7th inning, the ballpark at Harbor Yard in the 2015 FCAC Championship game with Eric Gendron. I'm Rob Adams. What a thrill. So the pitch on the way. Swung on and missed, and the inning comes to an end. 9 strikeouts, nothing across. Extra innings in the 2015 FCAC Championship begin after this. Set up around and right with Panzer, and the pitch is sawed off, and Panzer's got a long run still coming. It drops in for a base hit. Sets and looks at the runner over his shoulder. Runner goes. The pitch is outside. The throw to second. Short hop sliding in. Safe. Ball got away from the second baseman anyway. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. 8th inning. The set and the payoff. Line through the left side, a base hit. Let's see if they'll try to score Meany. And he's rounding third. Here he comes. Here's the throw. The tag. Not even in time. He stands up and scores. 1-0 Wilton. The 2-2. Swung on and missed at a high fastball. He struck out 10. He opens the stance slightly with 1 out in a 1-0 game, and Morin brings it home. Swung on and missed at a slider, and the Warriors are 1 out away, 11 strikeouts. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Bottom of the 8th, 1-0 Wilton. JT Morin trying to wrap up the title. The pitch on the inside corner, and the Wilton Warriors are the 2015 FCAC champions. Listen to Latella's numbers and tell me how this guy deserved to lose. 97 pitches, 8 innings, 1 run. It was earned, 7 hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts. That's not a losing.
No.
That's not a losing line.
Nope.
But the difference was JT Morin. And folks, I can recap the offense for you as easy as can be. 8th inning. This is it. Scott Shovlin strikes out. Colin Cahall grounds to short. We think we're going just as easily to the bottom of the 8th scoreless. But James Meany singled, stole second. Jackson Ward singled him in. There's your ball game right there. I mean, really, what a game.
No, I mean, it really was. Everything about that game made it amazing. I mean, you look at the Wilton's hitting stats. When you have your top 4 hitters all firing on all cylinders, I mean, you're going to have a game like that, and the pitching was excellent. We saw so many defensive gems in that game. If you're a baseball fan, that is everything you want.
Yeah, it really was such a good baseball game. So enjoyable. After the game, I shot down to the field and was able to grab a couple of guests. The first guy I was able to grab was the head coach of the Wilton Warriors. This is Tim Egan.
What does this mean to your team? Congratulations, Coach. What does this mean to your team?
It means everything to this team. This is a senior team, and since March, when they were thrown in the gym and lifting weights and going through all the winter programs, their aim was to get here to Harbor Yards and have an opportunity to win. And I'll tell you, we did everything we could tonight to beat a real good Staples team. And I couldn't be more proud of those kids. I love them dearly for the effort that they left a map for younger teams to come up.
You won the title in '95. How is this different than that one?
No, they're all the same. Only that some of my players are now my coaches, and they're here, and they're now coaches. We're all 20 years older, and it's stuff like that. But I couldn't be happy for this team because it was going to be one big hit, and that's what we get. We just got one big hit.
I don't want to take too much of your time, but quickly a thought about JT Morin.
Let me tell you something. The kid is just a warrior, and in every sense of the word. You know, we talked all day today in school. You know, did he want the ball? Did he want the guy? You know, we extended him on the other day against Norwalk High, and he said, "Coach, I only got one time to win an FCI championship, and tonight's the night." And you saw what he did. He was just absolutely outstanding with a good hitting team like Staples.
What a great job! Congratulations, Coach. Thanks for a couple minutes.
Who had the big hit. He'll tell you it's really not a big deal. He didn't win the game, but you know what? Yes, a lot of guys won the game, and that's just saying the right things. Jackson Ward won the game with this hit.
I was just going up there trying to get something hard to hit. When he got me down 0-2, obviously the kid's a great pitcher, and I was really worried because there's lots of things he can do to play with you, get you to miss there. So I was just trying to hit the ball hard and put it in play. Luckily, he threw a couple balls, let James Meany do a heck of a job getting himself to second base, and finally I got something I could hit hard, and luckily it found the hole.
Seems like every time I turned around for the past couple of days, I kept saying Jackson Ward warming up in the bullpen, warming up, and then you pitch Wednesday night. You're great with 11 strikeouts. Doing it again tonight, you were ready to go, obviously, if needed.
Yes, sir. I didn't need to be ready. Obviously, we had a hell of a performance by JT, but if I had to.
First championship by this team in 20 years. I can't imagine what's going through all these guys' minds tonight.
It's crazy. All 4 years, it's been the goal. It's been the only thing we've talked about. It's been the only thing we thought about is win FCX. And to see that it actually happened, that it's actually here, it's surreal. Maybe tomorrow morning I'll believe it, but right now, let's just enjoy it.
And then you get to think about states, and I'm sure that's not even on your mind right now.
No, not yet. Monday. That's when it'll be on our mind. Monday we'll be ready to go.
Hey, Jackson, great job. Congratulations. All right.
Will be on his mind tomorrow because although you can't see it out the window right now, there is a deluge going on outside, just pouring rain. All the games pretty much have been canceled. Finally, we spoke with the most valuable player down on the field. He was very excited, JT Morin.
You know, I talked to the most valuable player, and, you know, I talked to this guy back on Monday, and I'm sure this doesn't get tiring for you. JT, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Best feeling in the world.
Take me through this game. First of all, how's your arm?
Fine right now, but I'm sure tomorrow I'm going to feel pretty good.
Now, I talked to you on Tuesday. How was your arm on Wednesday?
Very sore. All down my side was very sore, and the day after, but I did like 3 hours with the trainer today, and I came in feeling ready to go, and I felt great.
Were there moments that you were pitching on adrenaline, or what was going on out there?
Yeah, 7 and 8, I was definitely pitching on adrenaline. Started to feel my arm a little get tired, but I wasn't going to let that stop me.
How about being in this kind of a pitcher's duel? I mean, Latella gave you guys everything you could handle, but you guys didn't buckle.
We scraped 1 run in the 8th, and I just knew in the bottom of the 8th I was going to shut him down. I was confident enough in myself and my defense, and that's what we did.
And take me through that final at-bat. I can't even imagine never being in that kind of spot, the nerves, the emotions. What was going on there?
That last at-bat was definitely nerve-wracking. You get all the goosebumps and stuff, but after that last out, like, it was just the best feeling in the world and so much relief off my shoulders and just now to celebrate with my team.
How about when they called your name at the end?
Oh, definitely. It was awesome. Another great feeling. It's such a good win, and definitely to win 1-0 in extra innings is just that much better.
Really a great week and a phenomenal experience, and congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
JT Morin, the man on the mound tonight here for the Wilton Warriors, who win 1-0 in 8 innings. He strikes out 12. What a performance. 26 strikeouts in 1 week of pitching, heading upwards of 250 to 300 pitches for a week. And I'll tell you, seen a lot of baseball, seen a lot of sports in Fairfield County. This is one that you won't forget.
I mean, that's all there is to it.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people can pitch a baseball game, but not that many people can pitch 2 baseball games on such little rest, go extra innings, and strike out as many people as JT Morin did. I mean, you said he was pitching on adrenaline in those last 2 innings. It takes something special. It takes something that's kind of out of the ordinary to be able to do what JT Morin did.
Yeah, and you wonder about the condition of his arm, but, you know, he seems to be okay, at least in what he was telling me, but who knows?
Now he might. Yeah. Now he might not. That's something that'll leave you a little bit sore the next day. But
he is not pitched since Friday, so he does have a couple of days to pull it back together.
And in the first round of states, they'll probably want to rest him. And
I mean, I would think so, but at the same time, you know, he had all rest on Saturday, Sunday. Now he gets rest today. you're almost getting 4 days rest.
But I mean, then the real question is, do you save him for a harder state game?
Right.
Or because it's single elimination, is it important enough to make sure that you can win that first game and actually have a chance at the later game?
I don't disagree with that. Wilton gets Xavier in the first round when they play. That is scheduled to be tomorrow at 3:30 over at Wilton High School. On the other side of the bracket, on their side, Norwalk plays Bristol Central in an 8:25 matchup, assuming things go according to what you think. And in baseball, you can't say this, but assuming you've got Norwalk Wilton all over again. They just played a few days ago.
And honestly, the way that Wilton's been playing, you might want to give that one to them, but we have seen Norwalk put up some impressive contests this year.
And that means they'll be playing for the third time in a year, which is not uncommon. It does happen, but it's kind of something you prefer not to see, especially in the second round of the states.
And there's so many teams in the state that it's definitely interesting to see some more diverse matchups, especially when you go out of conference. But, I mean, hey, these two teams know each other, so you might see a better ball game.
2:20 here on Nutmeg Sports. Alex and I are going to take a break, see if we can get Murph on, see if we can still talk with Christopher Cato Kalin. So as we continue on here on a Monday, we're back right after this on Nutmeg Sports on HANradio.com and streaming live on the Hersam Acorn Network.
Breaks, sprains, injuries, and pain can now be quickly and expertly treated at Coastal Ortho Express in Norwalk. Why wait hours in the ER? Save a trip and save money going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or call 203-845-2070. Fast!
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332 and online at stratfordsmile.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate road shows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
The long winter is finally astern. Bait is invading the harbors, coves, and inlets. Stripers, fluke, and porgies are on the move. In the streams and lakes, trout, smallmouth, largemouth, and walleye have moved out of hibernation. At the dock shop, it's all systems go. And now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, and their newest location at 609 Riverside Avenue in Westport. Bait, tackle, apparel, and of course, all the marine and nautical accessories that they're known for are ready for you at the dock shop. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Did you know that taking dance lessons is a great date night idea? Arthur Murray Grand Ballroom of Greenwich is a fabulous place to learn to dance and meet new people. Located at 6 Lewis Street, our studio is staffed with professional instructors ready to teach you salsa, waltz, rumba, hustle, tango. There's a dance for every season. And we are rated #1 on the Knot.com. We are the wedding dance specialists. Take advantage of our new student offer, only $49. Call 203-769-1800. Visit us online at arthurmurraygreenwich.com.
Does advertising on HANradio.com work? Just ask Coastal Orthopedics. They ran spots with us, and within 24 hours they had 21 walk-ins and 8 calls to their new immediate care center. To advertise on HANradio.com, call 203-417-5199 and ask for Marianne Hersam.
You're listening to Hersam Acorn Radio.
Back with you on Nutmeg Sports, 2:25 Monday afternoon. Alex Hager with me. I'm Rob Adams. Happy you're along with us. And so there you go with everything that went on in the FCAC, and now you see exactly where, not only Wilton goes, but where does Staples go from there?
I know, and we talked about Wilton so much, and we praised them. We praised JT Morin, but I don't know if we gave enough credit to Staples. I mean, that was a heck of a ball game. It was so competitive down to the wire, and we're talking about a Staples team that had to play a whole game earlier that night. So not only did they lose by just such a slim one-run margin, but they also held off Wilton through so long, and they faced JT Morin, and they were able to compete defensively and offensively, until really late in the game. Obviously, JT Morin eventually, shut them down and kept them to 0 runs through 8, but they played a heck of a game as well.
Yeah, they really did. As we said early on in the broadcast, it's not like Staples lost. It's that Wilton got the one key hit of the evening. I mean, we saw the Zach Azadian catch and just what a big role that played in the game. That certainly kept things tight there. But, Wilton's that kind of team. When you let them hang around, they're dangerous. And, of course, when you've got the pitching, and both teams played very solid defense. The only error of the entire evening was committed by Ben Kasparius, who's always a rocket short. But, a shortstop's going to make his fair share of errors. That's all there is to it.
So many hard hit balls to show that's going to happen.
Exactly. Short and third, certainly. And Kasparius, just had one get by him, and that's all there was to it. But it didn't impact the game.
Right. When you look at the hit lines, Morin kept Staples to 2 hits, whereas Wilton got 7. You could definitely argue that you would win an argument that Wilton played a better offensive game, and in the end, that was technically all that mattered, that one run. But, pitching-wise and defensively, it was competitive throughout.
It was a very competitive game. It was a good atmosphere. I thought it was a decent crowd. You'd like to see more people turn out, but for what it was, all things considered, I thought it was a pretty good night. The Wilton fan base was very strong, and, great job by the Staples fans as well.
Yeah, it's a long season, and you like to see it end as awesomely as it did.
I totally agree, and
for lack of a better term.
Yes, exactly. So both those teams move on to the States now, and it'll be fun. It'll be a fun run to see what goes on.
Yeah, I'm excited.
One other thing, because I like doing this for these kids, to have the opportunity, and I've played enough of Alex's stuff as well, and so WWPT was there the other night as well, the Staples radio station. I thought it'd be kind of fun to hear what it sounded like from their perspective. You heard my call, and my call is what it is, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to hear the guys from WWPT.
Morin. The pitch from Morin. And he got him looking. That will do it. JT Morin goes 8 innings, and the Wilton Warriors capture their first FCAC title since 1995. It's been 20 years since the FCAC championship trophy was in Wilton, Connecticut, and it'll head back up Route 7 here from Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Wow. Nice job there by those kids. They do good work over there, and they've always been at the forefront of what you now do and what others do.
Yeah, no, they've had probably the premier student radio station in Fairfield County. Obviously, I try to rival that as much as I can.
Absolutely.
But I think that they have more comprehensive coverage, and they do a heck of a job, and they showed up.
One of the premier, actually, high school sportscasting groups in the country, believe it or not. They're that good. So, anyway, I thought it'd be fun to spend a moment on that. As we move along here at 2:29 on this Monday edition. So, we weren't able to get hold of Murph. Well, we're going to reschedule Murph for tomorrow. Hopefully Cato later in the week. Still trying to kind of scratch together what's going on here. But it does give us a chance to talk about things here and exactly what's going on, because obviously we've got all these delays and all these postponements now, and that does create some havoc for the CIAC. And as we said a little earlier, I think they've got a lot of stuff to figure out now.
Yeah, the scheduling is... It's already complicated with that many teams in a bracket, that much travel. It's already sort of a mess, and it's really nice that it does work out. But now that you have rain today and tomorrow, you really can't count on as a makeup date.
No, the weather looks very bad for tomorrow as well, and now you've got to figure these fields are going to be saturated. Could you guys go down and play at Darien? Sure. Could you go broadcast that game? Sure. But the downside of that is because you got all these other teams that have to stay basically on the same schedule. When so many teams start canceling or postponing, it just behooves Darien to do the same.
Yeah, it certainly does. And they know that if they play tomorrow or they somehow find a way to play tonight, which we know they won't, but if they play soon, they're just going to have a longer wait until they get to face their next round opponent, and I don't think they want that.
No, I wouldn't think so either. Will the Blue Wave go with Stephen Barston?
That's obviously going to be sort of a game time decision. I'm leaning towards yes. He's definitely had enough rest now after his last FCAC game. He's far and away their number one pitcher. He's been their go-to man throughout the year. And as I've talked about before, when they start Stephen Barston, they get to maintain their regular starting infield as well.
Right.
Because Anthony DeMeglio and Connor Davey, there are other options, and they are the starting catcher and the starting first baseman, respectively. So they like to maintain the full infield when they can because Stephen Barston is a designated pitcher.
With us being back in Shelton tomorrow for our programs, we have to figure out what game we're going to cover. That'll be not a game time decision. We'll let you know so we can promote it as best as we can, as soon as we can. But I did pull up the list of all the postponements, and you can just see they are lengthy. So here's what I can do. I can read girls lacrosse to you because this is easy. Brantford and New Fairfield postponed to tomorrow, 6:30. Canton and Lewis Mills tomorrow, 3:45. That part's easy. Girls tennis, I mentioned early on coffee break that Darien got moved to 2 o'clock down at Chelsea Piers. But I can also tell you Warden Glastonbury, that site has been changed to the East Hartford Tennis Club. The others in the area, I mentioned South Windsor, Darien. That's at Chelsea Piers. That was at Stamford at 2. Suffield and Joel Barlow will be Tuesday at 11 at Walcott. Wilton and Amity will be at the Milford Racket Club at 2. And that's basically it from
those
the
guys
local
have the benefit
perspective.
of being able to move indoors, though.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. Among softball, and this is just a quick look, Warden Ridgefield will be Tuesday at 4:30. Greenwich and NFA will be Tuesday at 4. Notre Dame, Fairfield, and Hale Ray, that's postponed to Tuesday at 4. What else? Looks like, Staples Trumbull, Tuesday at 4. Which is actually one of the games we've popped into consideration for doing here. So that's Tuesday at 4 as well. And then, that leaves baseball. And pretty much everybody got moved, including the game we were going to do, which was Stratford, New Canaan. That is Tuesday at 3:30 now. Among the other games are West Haven and Shelton. Tuesday at 7 they will play that game. Xavier and Wilton will be Tuesday at 3:30. St. Joe's and Woodland with our buddy Jake Zimmer, who did a good job calling Trinity Catholic and Staples with me back on Friday. That's Tuesday at 4. And, I mean, you've heard about most of the other games at this point. The point is the list is huge, and they've all been postponed.
Yeah, and I don't expect them to be able to play soon. And another detriment that I mentioned earlier is that these teams aren't going to be able to practice today.
Right.
The tennis teams, they can all move indoors. There's enough indoors facilities around the state that they have that opportunity. But as a baseball team, when your field's wet, you can't play on it. You risk injury. You risk damaging it for the next time you have to play or practice. And no one wants to do that, especially now that you're in the state tournament.
No, nobody wants to do that. And it's going to be, how many games can you put together on back-to-back days? Now it looks like, in theory, it looks like they're going to try to play Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, that's all well and good. But what if Tuesday gets wiped out, as I think it will in many parts of the state? Now you're looking at what? Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday? Wednesday, Friday, Saturday? What do you do next?
And they're going to try to keep those quarterfinal, semifinal championship games as fixed as they can, especially with the sites. And so there's going to be kind of crunch time as they're going into the later rounds where they really can't keep pushing stuff back.
At least in last year's case at Palmer Field in Middletown, they had a slight window to work with because they were able to move the Friday night championship game, which was Class LL. They moved that to Sunday. So they did have that window to work with because there was rain last year, thus allowing me to go sit in my hotel room and watch the Rangers lose the Stanley Cup to the Kings, but that's a whole different story. I think people are still trying to figure out what that noise is when Alex Martinez scored coming out of my room. But anyway, and we'll get to the Rangers. We'll spend a moment on them. But, you do have a certain amount of a window to work with. This isn't like putting a game at a Harbor Yard. Yes, Palmer Field is definitely a popular facility, but it's not a minor league or independent league facility. But certainly all these places have schedules.
They do have schedules. But that being said, I think that people don't or the players at least, don't kind of look to it as the same prestige where, in the FCAC championship it was, we win this game, we get to play at Harbor Yard. I mean, winning and getting to play in the next round, whether that be a quarterfinal or semifinal, is definitely prestigious, but it doesn't quite have the same vibe.
I totally agree. I've said that for a long time, that, where you play these games does matter to these players.
Now, Rob, where would you prefer as a semifinal final destination for SEAC playoffs?
Oh, that's a great question. I hate to say it, the place is going to be put out to pasture pretty soon, but that Rockcat Stadium is pretty sweet.
I mean, sort of a limited palette in Connecticut in terms of mid-major. Well, I mean, there's no major baseball stadiums, but kind of the right size.
You're absolutely right. I think the Rockcat Stadium is pretty nice. Whatever they're building in Hartford will be nice. Dodd Stadium is terrific. Harbor Yard is nice. Palmer's fine. I don't have anything against Palmer, but you're right. It does not have the prestige that some of these other places do, including Yale, which is where they used to play it at Yale Field. And that's, I mean, you talk about a cool old facility that guys like Ruth and Gehrig once walked around.
Yeah.
I'd sign for that.
And, I mean, it may not be a modern minor league park, but it definitely has an aura, and it's definitely more than just another field.
I agree.
I mean, I think that every high school field in the state, with the exception of NFA playing up at Dodd, is more or less on the same plane. And players want something a little more to sort of be rewarded for their efforts and to sort of feel like they've qualified and earned something. And whether that be in New Britain, whether that be at Dodd, whether that be at Harbor Yard, I think it should be there. And Yale as well. I didn't even think about that.
Could they go out of state?
I don't know where they'd go.
I'm grinning.
I mean,
I'm grinning because I've got a wisecrack from off camera saying that they could play at Yankee Stadium. I mean, heck, the Yankees aren't using it much these days. There you go. But, in all seriousness, there are facilities, as we mentioned. There's Dodd. But Dodd is so far east, you're probably not going to do that. Although Mohegan Sun, but there's a different prestige there.
Dodd is so far east. Harbor Yard is that far west and south.
Yeah.
I mean, it leaves New Britain as sort of the main central location.
That's kind of why I like that idea. Or Yale, going back to, Yale has worked out fine in the past. But of all these places, I guess what I'm getting at is my least favorite in that group, as much as I like it, is Palmer. And I like Palmer.
It's adequate. It's not a lot more.
I would agree. I would agree with that. Look, I enjoyed calling games up there last year. I like it. I will say this. I like it better as a baseball facility than as a football facility from my perspective. As a broadcaster, I like that I'm, underneath the bleachers in a press box. There's a lot to like about that setup. I don't like Palmer as a football facility, in part because it's enclosed and it's not an easy place to broadcast a game from.
No, and I mean, obviously, we have to play favorites based on broadcast facilities. I know I feel the same way about the many fields of the FCAC, but generally, fields that have broadcast facilities and have nice broadcast facilities are nicer playing surfaces and have better bleachers and concessions and periphery. So I think, it's certainly a factor.
Yeah, and that's why I think, the CIAC, I understand where they're coming from, and cost is a concern, and I get that. I respect what they have to deal with. But I do think they lost a little something, and I know the Rentschler Field thing didn't work as well as folks had hoped for, but at the same time, I liked the prestige of a Rentschler Field versus, you're going to go play your championship at West Haven. And West Haven's a fine facility. But again, adequate.
It gets the job done. It's not fancy.
It's not prestigious.
I mean, and you look where, when New Jersey's hosting their championships at the Meadowlands and stuff, I mean, it's definitely a step down because we have fields in Connecticut that are nice.
Western Pennsylvania plays at Heinz Field, and New York is still known for playing at the Carrier Dome. I've gotten to go to that. I mean, it's a wonderful experience where, certain teams have been told, okay, and no disrespect, I like the people and I like the facility, but you're going to go play your championship at Trumbull High School.
Yeah. And especially
prestige. That's my thing.
And especially when you compare it to the county championships, you had teams like DHS hockey playing at Yale. You have teams like Darien baseball playing at Harbor Yard, and then they go on to the next round they go on to the state playoffs, and it's a bigger competition, and the finals are smaller scale.
Yeah, it just kind of loses a little bit of the luster.
It certainly does.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. So, when you come around to, and again, no offense to the facility, but same with the FCAC. You play your hockey championship at Terry Connors. I love Terry Connors, okay? I love Terry Connors, but sitting just a few miles up the road is Webster Bank Arena, for instance. Basketball plays at Fairfield Ward. Girls play at Fairfield Ludlow. Again, both big-sized gyms. They're very good to us in both spots, but not too far away is Sacred Heart and Webster Bank. A little more prestigious. Fairfield is right there as well, and I love Alumni Hall.
Yeah.
I love Alumni Hall at Fairfield. So, I see where all of these are great fits. Even Fairfield Prep's baseball or Fairfield University's baseball stadium, and now their lacrosse field. All these places are great, and I get it. It's cost and all. But
I mean, also, I think it's a case of there's technically nothing wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing at Palmer. It like we said, it definitely gets the job done. It gets the job done pretty well, too. I mean, it really doesn't fall short. I think if they were playing at some old decrepit field and they really needed an upgrade, they might go above and beyond, and they might move to a Harbor Yard or something, or they might move to New Britain. But right now, I don't think anyone sees anything wrong that needs to be fixed.
No, and you and I are talking about it from the standpoint, first of all, of broadcasters, where we like to work, but at the same time, you can talk about it as a student because you know a lot of the players, and the players do want that prestige. But you're right, from a CIAC standpoint, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing.
Got no reason to change it.
Yeah, so it's kind of a win-win for everyone, I guess. And really, we're just talking.
It's like a tie.
Yeah, it's a tie. There's no win-win, no lose-lose, just a tie. 2:42 here on Nutmeg Sports, Monday afternoon. Happy you're with us, 203-442-9055. If things were working, we'll get that all worked out once again tomorrow. We'll be back in Shelton tomorrow. So that will be tomorrow's show. We've moved Murph to tomorrow, hopefully move Cato to Wednesday, and we'll continue on from there. Still have to figure out which game we're going to bring you, and we'll get that worked out as well. But with all that said, how do you see these playoffs working out?
I mean, I see them being just as exciting as the FCAC tournament. Well, hold on. Let me take that back. I see the later rounds being just as exciting as the FCAC tournament was because we know there are some really high-caliber teams this year. And, I mean, that's not always the case. Sometimes, it's easy to say that because there's always going to be one team that dominates the league or there's always going to be, a top 2 or 3 teams. But when we're looking at performances like JT Morin's in the Wilton game, I mean, he is a stellar player. And you look at Randy Polonia, and you could even throw Stephen Barston's name in the ring, which I will obviously do.
Of course.
I mean, you've got
even if he never comes back and hangs out with us again. But go on.
He's a busy man.
He is a busy man.
I mean, you've got really, really high caliber players. The Connecticut State Player of the Year was a junior this year. I mean, there's a lot of really high caliber players across a lot of different grades, across a lot of different schools, and I think that there's going to be, competition abound, especially when you get into the later rounds. I mean, obviously there's going to be some lopsided matchups early on, but we've got a lot of teams from the FCAC, a lot of teams from outside of that conference that are going to be putting on really competitive showdowns.
I also have it on good authority that Steven's working on some good stories down at the Darien Times. So he's doing some good stuff down there. But, the double L bracket, as I look at that right off the bat, I see in the first group how you've got a chance for Norwalk and Wilton, but the next group down is the group I've got my eye on because you've got Staples playing Hamden, and granted, you've got South Windsor and Cheshire, and then you got Darien and Newington, but you also have Ward and Greenwich in the same group. So you stand a chance for upwards of 3 teams moving on through the second round into the quarters. I mean, you could wind up with a Staples-Darien quarterfinal game or a Staples-Ward or something like that. There's a lot to like about that. And certainly a lot to like about it for us.
And like you said, I mean, you don't want to see the team squaring off 3 times in 1 year or even just 2 times in 1 year. But if they're teams that know each other and they're teams that kind of have a little bit of bitterness to each other from the last time they played, it's going to be a more competitive game. It's going to be kind of, both teams are going to be more educated about each other. It's going to be a little bit more of an exciting showdown, whereas a game like Darien and Newington or Staples and Hamden, I mean, those teams have no history, and those teams are not really on the same competitive plane. I mean, it's going to be a good game, but it's not going to be an exciting game, where I think in the later rounds, when you have teams that know each other and you have teams that have a reason to want to play each other or want to win against the other team, that's when you see the really good matchups.
And NFA is going to be good in this tournament. They're 17-3 on the year. I saw them go up against Darien earlier in the year. That's a good baseball team, so I want to see what they've got. and I think they've got a lot to offer. 2:45 here on Nutmeg Sports. We switch over to Class L, where Bristol Eastern is the top seed. And for us, from the southwestern angle, you've got Barlow, and I'm sure I'm going to miss somebody as I'm glancing at it, but Barlow, New Fairfield, Notre Dame, West Haven, certainly Stratford and New Canaan, Daniel Hand, I suppose, to an extent, Massac, all teams that have kind of an appeal down toward our area. So there's some play there. But I think that's also, again, a tough bracket to deal with for New Canaan. They've got to deal with Stratford in the first round, and then on from there. I mean, they could easily be facing off with Watertown before they know it, 16-4 on the year. So I don't think their path will be very easy either.
No, I mean, you look at the New Canaan Stratford Stratford lineup from a pure seeding standpoint. It's a 10 versus a 23. You obviously want to give it to New Canaan. But you have to remember, you can't be a terrible team and qualify for the SEAC playoffs. Stratford's sitting at a solid 500 right now, and even though they might not be a really flashy team, they're a team that's played solidly all year, that's deserved their spot, however low it is in the seedings, and they could definitely give a team like New Canaan a run for their money, a team that's not, a team that's 15-5 is not an infallible team.
In Class M, you've got St. Joe's taking on Woodland, both 11-9. It's a 14-19 game. Then next up, they could face Waterford at 18-2. I mean, you give St. Joe's a puncher's chance to at least make some noise in the tournament. Who knows how far they will go as we move over finally to Class S, and that's where you'll find Randy Polonia. And we certainly didn't see Randy Polonia at his best the other night at the ballpark at Harbor Yard. It was fun to watch him on the field, but you could tell he was not at his best. They play number 26 St. Bernard in the first round, and that will be tomorrow at 4. After that, they would play the winner of Portland and Putnam. Portland not to be ignored. That's the defending champion in Class S.
But that being said, I mean, this is a bracket where you've got kind of some more interesting teams coming in where, Trinity Catholic's first-round matchup, St. Bernard, isn't even a super low seed, and they're still sub-500. And then you've got a team like Public Safety coming in with a 6-8 record. I mean, you have teams qualifying for this tournament who are in, literally and figuratively, very separate leagues.
Yeah, and I do think that's something that the CIAC has had to struggle with a little bit is, what kind of teams are we putting into these tournaments? In hockey, they put all 16 teams in Division I, so that meant that, a team that had just 2 or 3 wins was getting in, and that's troubling.
I mean, and it's something that you kind of have to know about, because I remember back in the soccer tournament, Darien would head in to matchups against kind of weird upstate tech schools or, places that kind of aren't on the radar in Fairfield County.
Right.
And they were like significantly lower seeds. And then Darien would come off with the win and everyone would be impressed. And you have to remember that their records are representative of wins in a weaker league. And, a lot of times we'll see this in a lot of different sports that Fairfield County is kind of saturated with talent, and that when they go and play these other teams that are high seeds from out of Fairfield County, they're losing because they're not on the same level of competition.
No, they're just not. I mean, that's it. They are just not. As for lacrosse, last year it was 3 FCAC teams. Can it happen again?
It probably will.
You think?
Look, the FCAC's lopsided, but there is so much talent at the top.
There is. Just look at Class L, Alex, because there's Darien sitting at number 3. There's Staples and Ludlow in the 7-10 matchup. That's not a bad matchup at all. And Ludlow is scary good. Very good team. You also have Greenwich taking on Fairfield Prep. Now, Prep has a few things to prove. Greenwich has a few things to prove as well. You've got Xavier, although out of the FCAC, certainly at 13-3, still a good matchup from McMahon at 8-9, the 20 seed. And finally, you've got an 8-9 game of Farmington and Ridgefield, and the top seed is Simsbury. There's a lot there.
Look, this is just another example of how kind of wacky the seeds are. You've got number 3 Darien squaring off against 14 Amity. Darien's 13-3, Amity's 11-6. You can't even try to tell me that those two teams are close in caliber. Darien's number 19 in the country right now. Greenwich 13-3 as well. They're a 5 seed.
Yeah.
Greenwich and Darien are both solid shots to win this tournament. Greenwich Fairfield Prep, I think, is probably the best first round matchup.
Probably, and a 12-5.
Oh yeah. Which is not usual. Most sports, a 12-5 is never going to be your best matchup. But, you've got crazy lopsided ones at the top. And as you get down to the middle, you've got kind of Xavier McMahon. I mean, that'll be a competitive game, but it's not going to be as exciting as Greenwich Fairfield Prep.
And for the uninformed, where are the New Canaan Rams, you say? They are not in Class L this year. They are in Class M, and they are the number 2 seed, taking on Foreign to start before they would play the winner of South Windsor and Guilford. That game will be New Canaan Foreign is Wednesday at 4:30, and then the next round would be Friday at 3. Saturday at 3 o'clock, actually, at the higher seed. So right now, if New Canaan wins, they would be the higher seed and get either South Windsor or Guilford. And then they'd have to deal with teams like Berlin, Wilton, East Lyme, New Fairfield. So still a ways to go before we get to June 13th at McMahon.
I mean, you've got teams like New Canaan, Darien, Ridgefield, who've been squaring off against great out-of-state opponents, out-of-conference opponents all year. These teams have seen the best that the entire Northeast region has to offer. They're coming in so qualified. That's why I say it's not really completely out of reason that we see 3 FCIAC winners this year.
Exactly. Now, in Class S, it'll be a little tougher to have that third winner, only because you have one team, St. Joe's.
Yeah.
The defending champion. Don't rule them out at 10-6 as a 10 seed. Don't rule them out. They're there. And again, because they've gotten beaten up in the FCIAC, they can certainly make a run for it.
Look, I've got a little bit of an FCIAC bias, but I have never heard of Bacon Academy. And I think that St. Joseph's might give them a run from their money in the first round.
We'll see what the people from Bacon Academy have to say about that.
I'm ready for the hateful tweets.
2:51 here on Nutmeg Sports. Let's take our final break. We'll come back and start putting a wrap on the show for a Monday as we continue on from here in New Canaan on HANradio.com, streaming live on the Hersam Acorn Network. We're back right after this.
Located in the heart of picturesque downtown Ridgefield at 13 Governor Street, Colby's is the area's premier retailer for blinds, shades, shutters, and draperies, and is one of the select few Hunter Douglas Gallery dealers. A family-owned and operated company, Colby's experienced staff will work with you in choosing the best treatments for your home or office and offer free measuring and expert installation. Colby's also carries an extensive line of decorative fabrics including Schumacher, Durley, Tebow, and more. Or browse over 400 books in our wallpaper library from famous designers such as Stroheim, Schumacher, Ralph Lauren, Tebow, and York. Take advantage of our Fashion in Motion savings event with savings and rebates on Hunter Douglas shades with Power Rise technology. Colby's of Ridgefield. We are committed to your complete satisfaction. 203-438-8531.
It's Lots of Characters, specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Now you can keep up with what's happening in Darien with the convenience of the Darien Times Online. Your choice. Print or digital subscription for just $45 a year. Or get the print and digital bundle for just $10 more, $55 a year. To subscribe to the Darien Times, go to hersamsecure.com/CIRC or call the circulation department at 203-894-3388. The Darien Times, now in print and online. Don't miss a single issue. Subscribe today.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.
Just about 2:54 here on Nutmeg Sports on a Monday. Obviously, a little downtrodden with all the games getting postponed and canceled around the region today, but we'll hope for better tomorrow. Again, I'm not sure. As I've said now 3 times on this show, I don't see it tomorrow. I find myself feeling not very positive.
Look, even if it doesn't rain tomorrow, I don't really see it happening. I mean, there was an absolute deluge when we got this show started.
Yep. But schools are going to do everything they can. The CIAC is going to do everything they can to make sure these games get played. So we'll cross that bridge that hopefully has water just going underneath it as we get to tomorrow. Yes, a nice trickle. Nice, little
babbling brook.
A babbling brook. I like that. turning directions just a little bit brings us back to Friday, and look, I'm going to spend a moment on it. I give credit to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I understand they're a good team. Steven Stamkos is one of the true stars of this league. Their goalie played outstanding. Ben Bishop was terrific, but the New York Rangers, who have never lost a Game 7, never played an absolute dog garbage of a game. And maybe I'm taking it personally because I didn't guarantee it, because only people like Joe Namath and Mark Messier can guarantee things. But I felt very confident because I don't want to be. I love Patrick Ewing, but I don't want to be a Patrick Ewing guarantee type. My point being, I felt very confident in this Ranger team. I felt that this was a team that had something special all along, and they went out in front of the Garden Faithful the other night. And I have some issues with the Garden Faithful too, but they put on a stinker of a performance the other night at Madison Square Garden.
Look, we were talking about it before the show. Not a lot of teams can lose a Game 7 at MSG, and especially a team that showed so much promise earlier in the playoffs and earlier in the regular season. Like you said, people who've been following the Rangers all season knew that this Rangers team had a lot. And to be fair, they went to Game 7 of the conference finals.
They did.
But, I mean, they fell short where it matters most. And it was a team that probably wasn't going to do that. When we watched earlier in the season, I mean, Henrik was still being Henrik. We had Rick Nash firing on all cylinders. A lot of players were really playing as well as they needed to go far, and they just crumbled at a pressure point.
And the pieces were all there. When Henrik Lundqvist got hurt, in stepped Cam Talbot for the balance, and he was terrific. He didn't only just keep the Rangers above water, he kept them winning. So the idea was now that you've got a healthy Henrik Lundqvist coming back from being injured. How can you lose? But obviously they can, because they didn't score enough goals. Rick Nash was awful in the playoffs. Granted, he played well in the other parts of his game. But the part of his game that you needed, the part of the game that he was a stud at throughout the season, came up empty because he did not score enough goals. And the same goes for Martin St. Louis. These are guys that are supposed to be scorers, and neither one of them scored. So you're going to need that next guy to step up, and I think that's a Chris Kreider. You're going to need Chris Kreider to become a superstar, and I think he's on the fringe of doing so.
Chris Kreider certainly shows that he has the potential, and I think that a lot of Rangers fans are not only expecting on him to get that good, but counting on him to get that good. I mean, you sound like you are yourself.
Yes, I am.
Now, the question I want to ask you, though, is you talk about players like Rick Nash who just didn't perform as well as they were supposed to in the playoffs. Why do you think that is? I mean, if they played that well during the regular season, do you think that it's seeing high levels of competition every night, or do you think that it's just the added pressure of being in the playoffs? Because people certainly expected the Rangers to be scoring goals in the playoffs the way they played in the regular season.
I certainly did, and I don't know. Certainly the level of competition steps up, that's for sure. Bishop played outstanding in the postseason. The Capitals gave him everything that they could handle. So certainly they faced good competition. I just tend to think they came up empty. But, I have to give credit to the other team, and it's not like, I could sit here and say to you Tampa Bay didn't deserve to win. No, they did deserve to win. They're a good team.
They played them 7 games.
Exactly. To me, part of the Ranger thing is, and as we were talking about it before the show with AJ, the Rangers lost 2 games at Madison Square Garden, games 5 and 7, in which they spit the bit. I mean, they were terrible in those 2 games. That doesn't happen. And I didn't think it would happen with this Ranger team.
I don't think anyone did.
Not like this.
Look, the Lightning held up as well as they needed to.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, you looked at the Rangers. After they won that Capitals series, I think a lot of people were like, if they can beat the Capitals, they're going to go all the way. And, justifiably so. And the Lightning were a team that they should have been able to beat as well. That's the thing that I think frustrates a lot of people.
They should have been able to, yep. I really thought this was a special year. I thought the Stanley Cup was coming to New York. I really thought for the first time in 21 years. And it's a shame when you feel that confident about something and it turns out like this. It just it wasn't meant to be for the Rangers. And good on for the Chicago Blackhawks, the job they did in Game 7 against the Ducks in Anaheim. It looked like there was a point in this series where the Anaheim Ducks were never going to stop scoring. And they were just going to run the Blackhawks right out of the building. And now that's a Blackhawk team. I give them a little bit of a slight edge going into the Stanley Cup final. They've got the experience. They've got Crawford who plays, Crawford Bishop is a toss-up. The Lightning have Stamkos. They obviously have stars, but the Blackhawks have a star top line with Kane and Taves, and I just think that's a difference maker to me.
I like to talk about momentum a lot. The Blackhawks just won an uphill battle against the Ducks. If they can carry that on against the Lightning, who, kind of had to scrape it out in the end against the Rangers, I think that they might have the edge. Honestly, though, as a neutral hockey fan, my Blue Jackets have been out for quite a while. I personally have really enjoyed watching the playoffs. And if you don't have a rooting interest, this has been, a heck of a good set of series.
It is true. There is something to be said about the lack of stress of just being able to sit back and watch when you don't have a rooting interest. There is something
granted,
to say.
I would have liked my team to be in the playoffs.
I agree, but
the quality of these playoffs has been pretty phenomenal. Not necessarily the quality, but the fact that you have so many series going to Game 7s. As a playoff hockey fan, that's fun.
Yeah, can't go wrong there. And it means you get the great Doc Emmerich, who, by the way, I saw someone try to rip on Twitter. Don't let me see those things. That's just not your smartest move. I'm just saying. And then Paul Silverfarble pointed out to me, and it just becomes, it's mass hysteria, and it's cats and dogs living together, Alex, so it can't happen.
Can't.
Will I see you tomorrow up in Shelton? Probably not, right?
Maybe.
All right, there's a maybe for you.
A solid maybe.
A solid maybe. We'll let you know for sure where the show will be from tomorrow. We're going to do coffee break in the morning from Shelton for sure. Nutmeg Sports, a little dicier because we got to figure out a game site and all that. Once we get all that known, we'll let you know, social media and all that stuff. But thanks to AJ, I see Josh Fisher hanging out. And for Alex Hager, I'm Rob Adams. We will see you tomorrow on Nutmeg Sports on HANradio.com and streaming live on the Hersam Acorn Network. We'll get your day started with coffee break at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. But for now, have a good night, everyone. So long.
You'll have to shout, yabba dabba dabba, yabba dabba dabba, yabba dabba 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 doo, yabba dabba 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 doo.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
Want to get in touch with HAN Radio? You can find us on Twitter at Hersam Radio, on Facebook at Hersam Acorn Radio, or email us at radio@hersamacorn.com.
Micro live next. 5, 5, 4, 3.